another very effective technique from the mount. This one utilises a crossface and an underhook. The reason I like this one is because when we're pinning someone down that's very skilled, quite often it's quite hard to actually execute any kind of attacks. But the idea of this is we're utilising a pin where we thereby pin their arms and shoulders above their head, and also we're utilising chest pressure as well. It can become quite daunting and quite even uncomfortable, especially if this is a self-defense situation and our opponent is actually burning a lot of energy. We can utilise good hip placement and almost to the point where we use chest pressure as well to almost suffocate our opponent. When that happens, quite often they're going to open up attacks. So let's have a look at this. And then turn around this way. Okay, so let's break this down. So I achieved the mount position. I have an attacker on top, on bottom position. Okay. Now, obviously, self-defense, I can obviously implement strikes depending on the scenario. If I want to control this person, what I'm going to do is achieve the underhook. Now, the way that I like to get the arm down is at the high level. Ideally, if someone that's not really trained, we may be able to go to this whole thing where we try and go for this arm lock. Okay. Most people are going to smell that out. And also, too, if the attack is quite strong, sometimes it can be very difficult to push the arm down. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to attack the most vulnerable point, which is this rotator cuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an inside grip, a C-clamp grip on Ant's wrist. My other hand is going to be placed on his elbow. So here, if Ant tries to push into me, I'm not pushing down, I'm pushing where the rotator cuff is weak. So his hand is going to be turning out this way. See how it creates that anchor effect on his shoulder. So I start and I bring his arm down. Now from here, my hand or arm can come over the back of his head, and then now I can switch to this underhook on this arm here. I'm going to utilise what's called a cross feet mount position, where I cross my ankles almost like a reverse guard. So I have my ankles crossed underneath, I have good hip pressure, kind of like I'm skydiving, and my arm is going to come under his head. Okay? Now if Ant tries to buck and roll, this is a very good position to be in because I have a tight squeeze. I can also keep my head down as well, and also I'm making his head turn this way by applying a crossface. Once I manage to pin his hips down and I have good placement with my chest and I have his head turned this way, now from here what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift the arm up. As I lift the arm up, I'm going to dig my arm in and I'm going to reach around and grab his lat here. Now he's really stuck. From here what I'm going to do is my arm is going to be utilised as an anchor, or I'm going to finger walk my arm like a spider to get his arm above his head. So here he's holding me in nice and tight, and to break the grip, I use this finger walk and my whole body moves to the other side. Don't just try and rely on your arm, okay? Because if I just use my arm, it's quite difficult. Use your whole body. So if you stay nice and strong in, use your whole body. So I finger walk and I use my whole body. Might have to take a couple of goes until eventually I can reach around and grab his head. So if we turn around this way, I finger walk up so I can grab the back of his head. Now from here is my arm that's underneath here is going to reach around and I'm going to cut my elbow here. My other hand now can lever his head and connect with my own elbow. Okay, now I have his head elevated off the ground, and I'm also applying my chest down on his stomach, his face. So from here, I have good hip placement. Now what I'm going to do is unscrew my legs, and I'm going to start walking my legs up towards his face. Okay, if we just sort of move around a bit there, can you move from there? It's a very good pin to pin someone down. And this opens up a lot of attacks. Okay, so if I want to start attacking the arms and things like that, I can move into what's called technical S now, and then I can attack from there. Okay, let's have a look at that again. Okay, so I'm here with my training partner. We're going to attack the weak area, which is the rotator cuff. My hand is going to come down as a C-clamp grip, grabbing his wrist. My right hand is going to grab the back of his elbow. I'm going to lever his arm and pin his wrist down to the ground. As I pin his wrist, this arm is going to shoot underneath as an underhook, and now from here my arm is going to swim around and catch this crossface. My legs, which are underneath Ant's hips, is I'm going to cross my legs and pin his hips down. Okay. Now that I have a crossface and I have this underhook, I start the process of levering his arm up, pulling him up onto his side, so now I can actually catch the back of his lat muscle here. Okay, he's holding on nice and tight. What I'm going to do now is I'll use my arm as a finger walk and my whole body to bring his arm above his head. So I finger walk up all the way. Once I get his arm past his shoulder line, then I can maneuver and bring my hand to the back of his head here. Okay, so I'll just turn around this way. When I connect with his head, now what I can do is I can lift his head up. I lift his head up and connect with my own elbow. My other hand now can let go of his head and connect with my elbow. All right. We have both his arms immobilized, and now from here I slide my body up nice and tight next to his hips. Okay. And then there's many different attacks we can do. We can do arm locks, or if I have his arm across, maybe I can shrink down, and then I can start attacking chokes. So that's another technical aspect of pinning someone down, utilising and demonstrating the underhook and the crossface.